The morning sun had just begun to rise when I found myself by the pool, coffee mug warm in my hand, staring at a furious woman pounding on the gate. Her shrill voice pierced the quiet valley, and before I knew it, she had dialed 911. To her, I must have looked like some trespasser blocking her access to a community amenity. But the truth was far different. This land was mine, every single acre of it. She had no idea the pool she demanded to use was built with my own sweat, no HOA funds involved. She didn't know that this valley wasn't just where I lived. It was where I poured years of labor, turning wild Arizona land into something worth protecting. By the time the deputies arrived, she'd learned exactly who she was dealing with. The first encounter, that day had started quietly. The Arizona sun crept over the mountains, and the valley glowed in its warmth. I stood on the porch of my cabin, sipping black coffee, enjoying the peace I'd worked so hard to create. That's when I saw her. Striding up the gravel path was a woman in a bright floral swimsuit and oversized sunglasses. She didn't glance at the private property signs. She didn't slow down. She marched straight to the pool gate, tossed her towel on a lounger, and shouted, "Open this gate right now. We all pay for this pool." I set down my coffee and walked over. "Ma'am," I said calmly, "this pool is private. It's not open to the public, and it's not part of any HOA." She spun around, hand on her hip, sunglasses flashing like a shield. "Don't you start with me. I'm part of the HOA, and we all have rights to this place. You can't keep me out." I almost laughed. "I'm not keeping you out. I built this pool. I maintain it, and the HOA has no claim here." Her jaw dropped as though no one had ever dared tell her no. Then her face twisted with righteous fury. "You'll regret this," she hissed, yanking her phone out. "I'm calling 911. I leaned against the fence, unshaken. People like her only grow stronger if you back down. I wasn't about to. The sheriff arrives. Minutes later, the crunch of gravel announced the arrival of a sheriff's cruiser. Deputy Cole Daniels, tall and calm, stepped out. Karen, because by then it was clear she was a full-blown HOA Karen, smirked like victory was already hers. "Oh, you're in trouble now," she muttered. "Got a call about a dispute over property access," Deputy Daniels said, eyeing us both. "Ma'am, is this the man refusing you access?" "Yes," Karen barked. "This man is blocking me from the community pool. He has no right." I stayed steady. "Deputy, this isn't a community pool. It's on my private property. I can show you the deed." Karen scoffed. "He's lying. Just some stubborn old man." The deputy raised an eyebrow. "Sir, do you have proof?" "Sure do." I went into my cabin and returned with a thick folder, deeds, tax records, survey maps. "I bought this entire valley 5 years ago. The HOA boundary ends 3 miles down the road. Everything here, the cabins, trails, and this pool, is mine." Daniels took his time. Finally, he nodded. "Looks like he's telling the truth, ma'am." Karen's face went from red to purple. "That can't be right. We pay fees for this place." I shook my head. "You pay for your HOA park and tennis courts. Not this. You're trespassing." Karen spat on the ground, grabbed her towel, and stormed off. "You'll regret this. I know people, but I wasn't intimidated. I knew she'd be back, building the valley." As I watched her car disappear, I thought back to when I first found this valley. 6 years ago, it was nothing but scrubland, a broken-down cabin, and a dry well. Everyone else dismissed it. But I saw potential. I hauled lumber, poured concrete, planted mesquite trees. Summers were scorching, nights were freezing, but slowly the land transformed. The cabin became livable. A barn stood tall, and when I finally built the pool, using stone from the nearby creek, it felt like the crown on everything I had built. To me, the pool wasn't luxury, it was proof. Proof I could carve something beautiful out of nothing. Proof I didn't need committees or rules. Out here, there was no HOA dictating the color of my door. Just sweat, grit, and peace. That was why I wouldn't let Karen, or anyone, take it away. HOA escalation. 2 mornings later, a white SUV rolled up. Out stepped 2 men in polo shirts with the Summit Ridge HOA logo. Karen had called in reinforcements. "Morning," I said evenly. "Something I can help you with?" The older man cleared his throat. "We're with the HOA. There was a misunderstanding yesterday with one of our residents. We're here to resolve it." "Misunderstanding?" I raised a brow. "Your resident trespassed, screamed at me, and called 911. That's not a misunderstanding. That's harassment. The younger one tried to smooth things over. This pool has been used by the community for years. We thought it was HOA grounds. You thought wrong, I said. This entire valley, every inch, is mine. Your HOA ends 3 miles south. You have zero authority here. The older man pressed on. Perhaps we can reach an agreement. Shared access, maybe. Not happening, I cut in. I built this place for peace. If your residents set foot here again, the sheriff will give them more than a warning. They left stiffly, but I could see it in their faces. They weren't done. Flyers and smears. The next morning, I found flyers plastered on my gate and mailbox. Community alert. Man illegally restricts pool access. Beneath it was a blurry photo of me by the pool, arms crossed like some villain. Anger simmered. Karen wasn't just trespassing now. She was trying to turn the whole neighborhood against me. That same day, I marched into the county clerk's office. Lisa Cooper, I said to the clerk, I need certified deeds and surveys. Lisa returned with a stack stamped with the county seal. This will shut them up. Your boundaries are clear as day. That pool isn't even close to HOA land. I thanked her, then stopped at the sheriff's office. Daniels looked over the documents and nodded. Looks solid. I'll keep these on file. If Karen calls again, we'll already have proof. I left feeling stronger. This wasn't just about me now. It was about stopping her lies cold. The town meeting. Word spread that Karen had called for a community meeting. She was claiming I was hoarding resources. I wasn't about to let her smear me unchecked. That night, I walked into the packed town hall with my binder of proof. Heads turned. At the front, Karen stood, smug as ever. There he is, she shouted. The man keeping us from what's rightfully ours. Evening, folks, I said, voice steady. I hear there's confusion about who owns the pool. Let's clear that up. I slammed my binder on the front table, flipping open deeds and survey maps. This pool was built by me on my land. HOA lines end here. I jabbed the county seal on the map. Everything north of that ridge is mine. Always has been. An older resident studied the documents, then spoke up. He's right. The maps are clear. The room erupted in murmurs. Karen went pale, then red. That doesn't make it his. We've used it for years. Usage isn't ownership, I shot back. Your fees don't pay for this. Your board doesn't maintain it. Trespass again, and you'll deal with the sheriff. Even the HOA president, Greg Palmer, stepped in. Karen, we need to accept this. The land isn't ours. Karen's glare could have cut glass, but she had no comeback. The final strike. I thought maybe it was over. But 2 days later, I received a lawyer's letter claiming I was unlawfully restricting community amenities. I laughed and took it straight to Hank Wallace, the best property lawyer in the county. Hank smirked after reading it. She doesn't have a leg to stand on. We'll shut this down fast. We drafted a counter letter, full of deeds, county maps, even the original land contract. That contract had a clause stating the HOA had relinquished rights to the valley decades ago. It was the final nail in Karen's coffin. 2 days later, Greg called me himself. His voice was apologetic. Sam, we're sorry. Karen went too far. The board is dropping all claims. For the first time in weeks, I let out a deep breath. Good. Tell your residents to stay off my land, and there won't be more problems. Peace restored. After that call, everything quieted down. No more flyers, no more trespassing, no more shouting at my gate. The valley was mine again, peaceful, the way it was meant to be. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the pool gold, I sat on my porch with a glass of iced tea. The water shimmered, the mesquite trees whispered in the breeze, and the world felt right again. Karen had tried intimidation, lies, even the law. But in the end, the truth won. A few days later, an older couple from the HOA knocked on my door. Hats in hand, they apologized. We didn't know the whole story. Karen convinced us. We're sorry. I shook their hands. No harm done, as long as it ends here. That night, I lit a fire by the pool and sat beneath the stars. The valley glowed with peace, and I realized something important. Defending land isn't just about boundaries. It's about dignity. About standing firm when someone tries to take what you've earned. Karen thought volume equaled power. But I proved something stronger. That truth, hard work, and quiet determination always outlast noise. And as I watched the flames crackle by the pool I built with my own hands, I knew one thing for certain. This valley would always be mine.